Hi guys, today is the 13th of February 2019 at 1 minute past 4 in the afternoon over here in the UK. I've got a couple of reports to get to, so I'm going to get into it straight away. Israeli airstrikes on Syria unlawful, cannot be justified. This is what Russia is saying. At the same time, it's saying Israel's security is of paramount importance. But while they were saying that, Israel took some new strikes out on Syria. Now we know that Iran said if Israel struck Syria one more time, there would be retaliation. So that's kind of what I'm looking out for. Today is the 13th of January, sorry, the 13th of February, and it's also the 31st of January on the Julian calendar, which I have interpreted as being connected to Iran coming out and blocking the Strait of Hormuz. So I'm looking for something like that later on today. But prior to that, we've got these reports that may be indicating something like that is coming up, especially if Iran do decide to respond like they said they would if Israel struck one more time. As I said, they now have. And Syria, in response, is sending reinforcements to the Golan Heights. This is the first time Syria has reinforced the border since beginning their military operation in the Quincha area. The Quincha area is where the IDF forces struck. Now, interestingly, since the S-300 air defense systems that Russia gave to Syria have been operational, Israel decided not to use its jets, but instead used tanks. So I found that quite interesting, and that comes in, I think it's in this report or after. But Iran is ready to boost its capacity for uranium. We obviously know that the EU is unable to save the nuclear deal, at least to the standards that Iran wants, and they're looking to boost their uranium capacity. They've ordered things like yellow cake and ordered centrifuges built, so they're moving towards uranium enrichment. And obviously, the United States and Israel, they're not going to allow that. We know that military options are on the table for when something like that starts to take place, and that could be now. Israel is warning Iran that its missiles can travel very far, and obviously this is in response to Iran saying that if the United States attacks Iran, Iran will attack Israel, and Israel saying they attack Iran. So basically a whole bunch of rhetoric going back and forth. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Iran on yesterday, that Israeli missiles can travel very far on the eve of a conference in Poland about peace and security, peace and safety, sudden destruction. Speaking during a visit to a naval base in the northern port of Haifa, Netanyahu said, "The missiles you see behind me can go very far against any enemy, including Iran's proxies in our region," an apparent reference to Lebanon's powerful Hezbollah movement. And Hezbollah has recently said that if Iran is going to war, they won't be alone. So, Lebanon appears to be backing up Iran in that sense. And we have a whole axis forming, or that was already formed but being reinforced. And then yesterday, US strikes ICE-held mosque as Syria battle intensifies. The gist of the report comes down to Syrian state media reporting that 70 people were killed or wounded in an airstrike by the US-led coalition on the edge of Bagos. It said the airstrike hit a settlement where hundreds of people were taking shelter from the fighting. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a war monitor, said 7 children and 8 women were killed late Monday in an airstrike near Bagos. It was not immediately clear if they were referring to the same event, and it does seem like they are. So there have been civilian casualties. A mosque has been struck, children, women, and I'm going to draw some correlations with the IPEC Go 2 video very quickly. So, as I said, this could be a depiction of the coalition air forces going about their strike yesterday or on Monday, targeting the mosque, and we're waiting for the response from that. And we believe that this response is an Iranian response, which looks like it could come anytime, considering they've also said to Israel not to attack Syria again, otherwise there'll be consequences, and they have. So again, this could be a correlating event. Immediately after the mosque scene that we have here, we then go on to this scene, which has the mother, a dead child. It could be a reference to the casualties from the mosque being struck. Now, I've talked about before, obviously in the background we've got a volcanic explosion, we've got a tsunami going on, and in this scene we have a volcanic explosion in the background and a tsunami coming forward. So they both seem to correlate with each other. It seems as if we're in an Egyptian setting, so I'm assuming that this volcano is one that is in Italy or next to Italy. Etna is a strong contender, Stromboli is another. Either way, these are both volcanoes. Etna especially has been reported to be able to have a landslide collapse of its flank, causing a tsunami in the Mediterranean, which would obviously affect places like Egypt, Israel, and the other countries that surround that region. In other news, NASA is reporting that Mars and Apocalypse asteroid Bennu will be visible on Valentine's Day. Now, this is interesting for me because it could be an interpretation of what we see here. This could be a depiction of Mars, and the shadow in front could be a depiction of the asteroid Bennu next to or moving in front of Mars. I'll say this because up in the smoke or the clouds here, we've got the number 31. I pointed that out before, and backwards it's 13. As I said, on the Julian calendar, today is the 31st of January, and today is the 13th. With all the other events, like the mosque being struck just in the last couple of days, and Israel striking more targets in Syria after being warned not to, it seems like maybe we could be leading up to this time. Now, this depiction, according to the NASA report, is on Valentine's Day. So if this is Valentine's Day and this is a representation of 31 and 13, which is today, then it's sometime between those 2 days. I would say that we're looking at this event in the Middle East with the volcano, the tsunami, Iran coming out, Iran coming out and blocking the Strait of Hormuz, retaliating to Israel, possibly having United States involvement, and that leads on to, well, this is the scene where I think it's depicting, this is the scene where I think it's depicting the Iranians coming out and blocking the Strait of Hormuz, and then that leads on to the oil slowing down. Obviously, the situation with Venezuela is kind of like a double whammy there, so that's a pretty volatile situation. Have to keep our eyes on. In the background, there's an explosion going on, lifting up the earth. It seems to be related to the oil rigs. Maybe they're using it to dig deep into the earth and bury a nuclear weapon or device, causing it to explode, generating an underground explosion and obviously an earthquake which may fracture the earth. This all appears to be depicted for the east coast, a tsunami wave above, and I say that because it's in correlation with the next scene, which is the Statue of Liberty representing New York, and this darker shadowy line here is the tsunami wave coming forward. So it appears that the tsunami for New York is related to an underground explosion off the east coast, which appears to have some sort of fracture event all the way down to what we think is Florida down here, and up here would be a New York representation, which is where the tsunami is coming in. So, with all of that said, I think it's important to keep an eye out on what could potentially be coming towards the end of this evening or going into Valentine's Day. Obviously, this could be a time reference to Statue of Liberty. If you look at it one way, it's 3 o'clock, but if you look at it dead on, then it's actually 2 o'clock. So keep an eye out, 2 p.m., 2 a.m., I don't know. If we're looking at the 14th, where we have a number of events possibly coinciding, and the Mars asteroid Bennu depiction is here, then we're looking at maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometime between the 13th and the 14th. Then obviously we move on to the 15th, where we've got all the 14th and 15th interpretations from yesterday. But a lot of things unfolding in the Middle East, a lot of things to keep our eyes on there. Hopefully nothing happens, pray nothing happens. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.